U.S. gas producers had a pretty rough day on Monday. Gas prices fell around 7% on Monday, which was a big downward move for the day. And to give a sense of the scale of that move, I looked at the stock price for EOG, one of the US's largest liquids focused exploration and production operators, and compared that stock price move to the stock price move for EQT, one of the biggest gas focused operators. And we saw that EOG outperformed EQT by 4 percentage points on the day, which has only happened twice in the last 15 months. So it was a big relative move of EOG compared to EQT, which really drove home just how nasty of a day Monday was for gas producers in the US. My second post this week was about the New York Times article that they asked, why is the US oil industry booming? And in my post, I wrote about that. Yes, I mean, the oil industry is booming kind of for obvious reasons. The world is using more oil and gas today than it ever has. And so just that level of demand will mean that the industry is inevitably quite a bit healthier than it's been in the past. Plus, the industry has been right sizing itself for a while now, frankly, coming out of the pandemic and a lot of turbulence leading into the pandemic. So the industry is in a healthier position than it's been. Demand is higher than it's ever been. That combination means oil and gas is booming. At the same time, renewables are booming. They're capturing a much larger share of new capital than legacy hydrocarbon systems are. So when you look at how energy is produced and consumed today, oil and gas is by far the largest, and it's never been higher in an aggregate sense. But when you look at which technologies are capturing the most new capital and positioning themselves for the most growth in the future, that's clearly a renewable story. So, in a sense, all sectors within energy are winning today. It really does just depend on how you define victory. My third post was around gasoline usage globally. And I looked at gasoline usage per capita for different regions around the world. And we see that North America is by far the highest user of gasoline, with nominally 20,000 barrels per day gasoline consumption per million people. The only other region of the world that's even within a third of North America's levels is the Middle East. And the only region in the world that has seen a year over year decline in gasoline from 2022 to 2023 in gasoline consumption is Africa. And in Africa, clearly the population is still growing, energy demand is growing. The challenge there is there's a lot of macroeconomic turbulence, specifically in the way of inflation. And several African nations have removed their fuel subsidies. And so that's led to much higher prices that end consumers are facing. And that has worked against demand, specifically in Africa. But the rest of the world, we saw gasoline consumption on a per capita basis grow in 2022 to 2023. And again, while it's not distributed at all evenly, and that's something I knew, when you visualize it, it's pretty wild to see just how much more gasoline North America uses than anywhere else in the world. Each weekend, I send out a free weekly newsletter that includes links to and summaries of all the research that I share online. So that way you don't have to rely on social media algorithms to find all the stuff that I'm sharing. I also include an energy related anecdote, insight, or observation that I don't share anywhere else. So if you've seen all the research that I've published online, you will still have something new to read in the newsletter. Last weekend's newsletter, my anecdote was about Virginia's embrace of offshore wind and why that makes a ton of sense and why it's a pretty positive and exciting development in the offshore wind space. And that's a space, frankly, that hasn't had a whole bunch of wins over the last year or two. Those are the kinds of anecdotes that I include in the newsletter. If you've not signed up, you can hit the link either in my profile, above, below. I'll put it somewhere where it's easy to find. As always, thanks so much for reading, watching, liking, commenting. I hope you had a fantastic week, and we will talk soon.